Rockets. We all know about them, we've all seen them in the TV, computer, in YouTube or whatever. But what are they really? How do they work? And where did they come from? Well, let's find out.
The first use of proper rockets was in the Battle of Kaikeng in 1232 AD, which was used against the Mongolian invaders. After a barrage of these solid fuel rockets, the Mongolians were driven out. Following years after the battle, other Asian countries eventually caught up with the Chinese, and the Europeans following soon after. These solid fuel rockets kept on being improved until the advent of the liquid fuel rocket. The first liquid fuel rocket was built by American physicist Robert H. Gordon. After the launch of the first liquid fuel rocket, other countries followed suit with their own liquid fuel rockets. But these rockets have a short range, which is improbable. But this would not be the case with the Germans. But during this time, the Germans would find an interest in this one man, Dr. Werner von Braun. Werner von Braun would eventually join the Nazi Party, securing his place in rocket research. He would eventually create the V2 to lay the foundation for the modern era of rocketry. But how was all of this possible? Enter Konstantin Tsiolkovsky. Konstantin was a Russian rocket scientist and is widely regarded as the father of modern rocketry. He created the rocket equation and was the first to apply the law of conservation of momentum to rocket science. A rocket is an object which can accelerate itself from point X to point Y by expelling a part of its mass at a very high velocity. The rocket equation deals with the amount of propellant in your rocket compared to the total mass of the rocket when moving from point X to point Y. This equation was derived from a British mathematician, William Moore, in 1810. Other scientists such as Robert Gordon and Herman Oberth developed their own versions of the rocket equation in 1912 and 1920 respectively. Now, an aeroplane is usually 40 to 50% fuel, but a rocket is usually 80 to 90% fuel. Why is that? Well, it's all thanks to gravity. For a rocket to escape its gravity, it needs to travel at Earth's escape velocity, which is around 11.2 kilometers per second. And for a rocket to reach orbit, it needs to travel at a curve. A rocket has to travel at an angle which maximizes its range and minimizes its stress, which puts it into orbit around the Earth. This is called a gravity turn. Solid fuel rockets kept on being improved, and still amateur rocket groups use solid rocket fuel. Most of these rockets were used in artillery. The Germans, however, used these rockets to bypass the restrictions imposed by the Treaty of Versailles, which eventually led to the V2. The V2, or the Waffen-2, which is designed by Dr. Werner von Braun, was the world's first liquid-fueled ballistic missile. It had a range of over 200 kilometers and would travel at 3 times the speed of sound. The rocket used an ethanol-based fuel and liquid oxygen as its oxidizer. It is fed through fuel pumps into the combustion chamber where it is ignited. After the fuel has been ignited, the fuel travels down to the throat and is expelled by the nozzle, providing thrust. This liquid fuel system would allow the V2 to reach really high altitudes. And in fact, it was a German A4, which is an experimental version of the V2, which became the first man-made object in space. From the end of World War II and to the modern era, rockets have really increased in size and efficiency. Now, with private companies innovating and creating reusable rockets to decrease the cost of launch, and with the recent launch of SLS last year, the possibility for a human settlement on the moon is not too far away.